Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this happens to find you. This is Michael Halper with Sales Scripter, and welcome to another Mindset Monday session. This is a short training session that's focused on improving your mindset, and we try to do that by focusing on one tip or one topic that you can digest here today, maybe take with you throughout the week. And what we talk about here is going to be designed to improve your mindset and position you for a stronger, more successful week ahead. That being said, the topic today is that you have what it takes. You have what it takes to be successful. And we're going to talk about this and drill into why you have what it takes, because we are also going to pick up where we left off last week, which is the fact that selling can be tough. It can be tough on your mindset because you are going to face a lot of rejection and objection along the way, even if you're doing a great job, even if you're a great salesperson, even if you have a great product to sell. Objections and rejection is just part of the job. And when you face that a lot, day in and day out, you can start to feel like, man, maybe nobody needs the product that I sell, or maybe my product isn't very good and can't compete, or maybe I'm not very good at this. And it's that last one that we're going to focus on here today and talk about why that is most likely not the case and why you most likely have what it takes and you can be good at this. And I'm not going to come at this from the same angle that maybe your mother or your grandmother or your father might come at it and tell you just blindly, you can do it, you can do whatever you put your mind to. I'm actually going to base my assessment that most likely you have what it takes based on 3 fairly low minimum requirements. If you meet these requirements, I believe even if you're not successful right now, you can build on that and you can get on the path to success if you have these 3 requirements. And maybe you don't meet all of these requirements. And that might tell you, well, maybe sales isn't the right fit for me. But most likely, if you're here watching this, you probably meet all 3 of these. And let's just go through each one of these in a little bit more detail. With the first being, do you have the ability to learn? And what I'm saying here is, do you have the basic ability to stop what you're doing, reflect on what you're doing, learn new tips, learn new tactics? If you're here listening to this, you probably at least have the curiosity to learn. And I'll assume that if you're here, you have the ability to learn. But the reason why this is one of the base requirements that I place on being a successful salesperson is that I believe selling is a skill and it's one that you can develop and learn. You can spend time on learning what to do and what not to do, and that can have a direct impact on your success. To take a step back and kind of think about an analogy or a metaphor, sales is somewhat different from maybe digging a ditch. If you dig a ditch and you have a shovel and maybe you're holding it the wrong way, but you're striking the ground and you're applying effort and energy, you are going to end up digging a ditch. It might take you longer and it might not be a good looking ditch, but if you apply energy with the tools you're given, you will dig something. And the thing is that sales is different. Sales is not about just applying effort and activity and energy towards your goal and that you'll get some sort of success. You could make 100 cold calls per day. And if you have the wrong sales pitch, if you're asking the wrong questions, you could have 0 results. But if you stop and learn, how can I change what I say? How can I optimize what I say, what I'm doing? You can have control over your ability to improve your results. So let's assume you're here, you have the ability to learn. The second requirement is, do you have the ability to communicate with other human beings? Again, I'm telling you, these are very minimum requirements. And I'll just assume if you're here watching this, you have the ability to communicate with other humans, but maybe you don't. Maybe you are an extreme introvert and you have trouble looking people in the eye and talking to other people and having conversations. Or maybe you have extreme anxiety about picking up the phone and calling prospects. If you can't get over that and you don't feel comfortable communicating with other humans, then you may have challenges in selling, but I'll assume that you have the ability to communicate. And actually, regarding the anxiety about picking up the phone, don't take that as an inability to communicate, because we all feel anxiety when it's time to pick up the phone. And one reason why is because you know that when you cold call a prospect, there's a very good chance you're going to get objections and rejection. Again, even if you're doing everything correctly. So that can cause you to have anxiety. There are ways to work through that, but I really wouldn't consider anxiety of cold calling or a fear of cold calling being an inability to communicate. And the third requirement is, do you have a drive to succeed? Do you have an internal drive inside of you to progress? Are you ambitious? Do you have a competitive drive to win? If you're playing a game, do you get passionate about winning? Or if you're playing a sport, is it important to win, or do you not care whether you win or lose, and losing doesn't hurt that bad for you? Again, I'll assume if you're here watching this, you probably have some level of drive to succeed and perform. But if you don't, then that could cause a problem with you in sales, because sales is about hunting and competing, and the harder you work and the more competitive you are, the better you'll perform. So based on that, again, if you meet all those, I think you have what it takes, and you might not be performing well, or you might be struggling, or you might have a lack of clarity for what to do day in and day out, or a lack of clarity for how to improve or how you're going to make your number. But all of that can be worked on. And I'm going to give you a few tips here for what you can do to improve and get on the right track if you have those base requirements. And the first is to continue to learn and develop. Selling is a skill. So are you working to develop that skill and learn what to do and what not to do? There are tons of resources out there. You don't have to figure it out on your own. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of other people have been in your shoes and have figured out things to do and things not to do. So go pick up a book on selling. There are tons of books out there, tons of videos you can watch, many different sales training programs, sales podcasts. Dive into those. Try to expand your knowledge. And if you're looking for an additional resource, of course, our YouTube channel has tons of sales tips. There's almost 1,000 videos on our channel that you can poke around and get tips that you can use to develop yourself. But what we've done is we have organized all of our tips into a system that you can implement, that you can download into your brain. We call that the Smart Sales System. And we have organized that into a playlist of videos. So if you go to our YouTube channel, go to playlist and look for a playlist called the Smart Sales System. That is our sales training program, and you could start at the top and work your way. So if you like our tips, that's a good way to work through and digest our tips. You can also access all of those tips in book format in the book that I wrote called The Smart Sales System, and you can get that on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description below. But the second thing that you can do to work on is to organize and optimize your sales pitch. There are a lot of salespeople out there. I think the majority of salespeople, and I do this too as well, is we improvise when we're talking to prospects. We have all this knowledge in our head. We have all this experience, and we just try to figure out what to say in the exact moment. But if you haven't figured it out yet by watching any of my videos, I personally believe that you can improve your results. You can become a better salesperson. You can decrease your stress. You can improve your mindset by organizing and optimizing what you're saying and asking. And actually, the Smart Sales System will help you with that as well. So the Smart Sales System will help you to expand your skills and your knowledge. And actually, Module 4 in the Smart Sales System, the playlist of videos, will help you with optimizing and organizing your sales pitch. So if you want to work on that, we have a resource to help you with that as well. And the third tip that I have for you to continue to get to the next level is to implement a philosophy of constantly reflecting back to improve moving forward. This is an ongoing mindset and philosophy that you can implement into your daily routine, where when a call ends, you reflect back and think about what just happened. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What are some good questions I should have asked that I didn't ask? What are some objections that the prospect had? How did I respond to those? Is there a way I could have responded better? Sales situations recur again and again. You're going to face the same objections again and again. Prospects on cold calls and meetings are going to say the same thing, and the same situations are going to repeat. And you're not going to know what to do when those new situations pop up, regardless of the number of books you've read and the sales training programs you've been through. But when it happens to you, and then maybe you do something well, maybe you don't do something well, but going through a process of reflecting back and thinking about what just happened And when that happens again, what can I do differently? That will help you to learn and improve and develop. And that goes back to that requirement of, do you have the ability to learn? Are you just the type of person that you're just going to keep doing the same thing again and again? And when you have a bad cold call, you don't learn from it. And then you just make the same mistakes again and again. I'll assume you don't do that and you have the ability to progress and get better. But there are some people that struggle with that. This philosophy and this mindset change and change you make to your daily routine can help you to learn and adapt and improve. And the last tip for you is to practice and role play. And like I said, the same situations occur again and again. So what does that mean? That means you can practice them. So you can practice cold calling and you can practice objections that you might receive on a cold call. You can practice objections you might receive in an appointment. And as I mentioned, a lot of times you don't know what to do when that situation happens for the first time and you end up making a mistake. Well, what you can often do is practice before that situation happens so that you're sharp and you decrease the amount of mistakes you make when you're on calls or in meetings or in the field. So you might look for a colleague that you can practice with. Try to see if your manager, your boss can practice with you. You can maybe look for a sales coach. We do have a resource that you can practice with AI. We created a tool called Sales Simulator, and it's basically ChatGPT is the AI that powers it. But you can load up a bunch of details about the product or service you sell. You can set the difficulty setting, whether you want it to be friendly, medium, or difficult. And you can practice with the AI. And this can help tremendously because if it's only just allowing you to let the questions you need to ask roll off your tongue, allow you to practice your main talking points so that they're more fresh in your head, so that when you make a cold call, you're not fumbling or struggling to think about what to say. It's more fresh. It's sort of like a quarterback throwing the football on the sideline, so that when they go into the game, they're warmed up. They're not just going into the game all cold where they would likely make mistakes, which is what most salespeople do. I do it as well. You pick up the phone, you haven't practiced, and then you're not as sharp as you need to be. So that's pretty much it for this Mindset Monday. If you like these tips and you want more of this, a great place to go to get our tips is to follow us on any of these social platforms, because what we do is we slice and dice these long sessions into 30 to 60-second videos and post them on these social media platforms. I'll put links to these in the description below if you want to follow us. And then one thing new that I've actually been working on is I created a subreddit page on Reddit for sales scripts. And I want this to be a community for people to come together and ask questions regarding, your sales pitch, what to say, what to ask. And this could also be a user community for our software product or for the customers of my company. But this is brand new. It's not really active. So if you want to support us or you want to interact with us more, this is a great place to go. If you have questions for me personally, you want to ask me about your sales pitch or what you're doing or for tips on how to improve, this is a great place to go, because I can tell you I'm personally motivated to get this subreddit going in terms of activity. So if you post a question here, I'm going to take time out of my day to wordsmith and put together a long response for what you're looking for at no cost here. And I'm ready to do that here, because I'll do that to get the subreddit going. So it's a great place to interact with me if you have any interest in interacting with me. And one last thing, if you want to support us, a great way to do that is to simply like these videos, comment, share these videos, subscribe to our channel. Any of those help us, and none of those cost you anything. And that is pretty much it. So hopefully that this gives you some new ideas, or at least makes you more confident, more comfortable with who you are, where you're at, maybe gives you some direction on what you need to do to continue to improve and to continue to get to the next level. If you have any questions or you want more information on any of this or anything from us, the best place to go is to our website of salescriptor.com. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next video or training session. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.